Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? You what? God design, God design.
Boy, buddies, what's the deal? Can you hear me? I know it's a little bit late. Can you hear me okay? Before we get started, you know what's going on. This is the Borble Show. And here we discuss the dogs. Today we're going to be talking about educating breeders about the health of the Borble female. It's really important to understand because the female is the cornerstone of the breeding program. It's one of the most important aspects of dog breeding is the female. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We want to make sure that we get it right tonight. What's up, board buddies? I'm back again with another live. It's late, so we ain't gonna get too loud. We don't want to wake nobody up. But guess what? If you're not here and you can't see it live, I was thinking about should I do this? You can always watch it again tomorrow. But like I was saying, this is a very important episode about breeding health. We're going to take it back to where we had started because the last episode we had some sound issues. So let me know, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay, boy buddies? What's the deal? What's going on? We up in here holding it down, fresh off the grind, literally putting down we've been grinding all day and night again. And luckily, I shut it down early tonight because I said, you know what? I'm not about to keep doing this to myself, grinding until 5 in the morning, and then I can't get up and do what I need to do, and I'm not functional during the day. And look, you got me live, and I'm in this. What's up, board buddy? Let me know what's happening. Can you hear me okay? Before we get started, I want to make sure we get it right tonight because last time we had some technical difficulties. So let me know, can you hear me okay? And I'm going, and then I'm going off, board buddies. What's the deal? Can you hear me okay before we get started, though? Can you hear me okay? Because guess what I had to do? I went out and got a new mic. I was so frustrated with that. That's one of the worst things to go through when you got these technical difficulties. But I went and got a new microphone, got a new headset because, hey, listen, I ain't letting nothing stop me from doing what I got to do. Dog life day and night, it don't stop. We just fresh off the grind. What's up with y'all though? Did y'all know what we do around here? If you didn't know who I am, my name is Jordan Pittman and I'm the Borble man. I am 17-8 going on my 18th year with the Borbles, deep into the game, and I can let you know everything that I have. I'm willing to help you. I'm trying to empower you with the knowledge and understanding that I have about these African Borbles, and I'm laying it down for the next generation of breeders to pick up and take off where I left off. So this is what's going on. I'm gonna fill you in tonight about your female dog because it's important that you understand. I know everybody gets these females and then you want to hold them back, and you very thing that you got to understand from the very beginning. When you get a female dog from the very beginning, you got to have a plan. You're from your female, what you're going to do, because you don't have a whole lot of time and you can easily mess this up. And I got a slideshow prepared for y'all. We're gonna run it back from the beginning, and I'm gonna explain and break down the breeding process so you can get a full understanding of how it goes. Because we tend to think of the dogs as like a child, and they put these human attachments in. It doesn't apply to the dog. It doesn't. It's not the same way with the dog. The breeding cycle, the heat cycle. The dog is completely unique from all different mammals. It has its own, no other mammal is like the dog because it goes through this heat cycle. And I'm going to get into that and explain that to you so you can get a great understanding, because one of the things that we want to encourage you to do is do the best thing for your dog. And what's healthiest, what's the best practices. And I'm going to let you know from experience the things that I have done to ensure the longevity and success is out of Borble breeding program. So I'm going to let you know what I know. And it's just what I have done. This is what works for me. And it's going to help you if you choose. If you know somebody that can use this information, pass it out, share it. Don't spread the good word. Don't keep it all for yourself. So we're going to break it down tonight. Like I said, you know, we're trying to educate and we're laying it down for the next generation of world breeders to pick up where we left off. So your female dog, we're gonna open it up. What is back-to-back breeding? You get your female dog, right? And then you got this plan. And then you decide, well, I'm going to skip a heat. I'm going to skip a heat. And why I call this back-to-back breeding, because regardless of whether you breed the dog or not, the dog is going to assume the body, the anatomy of the dog is going to assume that it goes in the heat. So what happens when a dog goes in heat, the reason that I say that is very different from a human, because when a female goes in heat, they shed the lining of the uterus, they pass every 30 days, they have a period. The dog's period is very different. Their heat cycle is for 60 days. The progesterone levels rise. They have a heat cycle every 90 days. Every 6 months. They have a heat cycle twice a year. So regardless of whether the dog gets pregnant or not, the body assumes that it's pregnant. That's important for you to understand that. And I want to go back over this again because I had said something. I want to make sure that I clarify that we're going step by step. What they do, boss man? You know I'm back again. But yeah, let me take this back again. So when the dog, when a normal mammal goes in heat, cat, cow, whatever, after if they miss their heat cycle, if they don't come pregnant, they go right back and they can get pregnant again in the next 30 days or whatever the heat cycle is, right? Normally it's about 30 days, or they can become pregnant immediately after, depending on the species, like let's say it's rabbits or whatever. Dogs cannot get pregnant immediately after they mix their heat cycle. The body assumes, because of the way that the dog survives in the wild, because of Mother Nature, that a lot of times it's seasonal when the dog has puppies in the fall or the spring. And it's just a way of evolution. So with this heat cycle, what the dog does is it lets out these pheromones, and it lets other dogs know these pheromones are scent markers. And it's letting all the other dogs in the immediate area know that it's a female in heat. Get ready. That's more, it's a signal versus anatomy thing. So keep that in mind. 7 days, she's emitting a signal to let out this is a powerful smell. Okay. When the smell, when the female goes in heat, human, she has a period. She doesn't get pregnant. When the dog gets pregnant, the dog body. Let me show you this slide. Okay, this will help. This will help me explain it better. Okay, this is the anatomy of the uterus, right? So what happens when a dog gets pregnant, or when she goes in the heat, she first emits this smell from the uterus. Then what happens is the ovaries release eggs along these horns. You see these horns here? That's the womb. Now, that's like a garden, so to speak. Think of that as a garden. So every season, you got a layer of soil, and your seeds need to be planted. Those are the eggs. The eggs are released from the ovaries, and they line the womb, right? So every season, you have these eggs lining the womb of the dog. Now, her body assumes that she's pregnant, whether those eggs become fertile or not. That lining doesn't get shed. What it does is it begins to deteriorate. So as the next season, you have another lining that comes out. and it goes right on top of the old one. And these old linings, they just pack on. Here is Dr. Hutchinson. So Dr. Hutchinson is a canine reproductive researcher. He explains it much better than I do. In his findings, he states how the testosterone, estrogen, or progesterone hammers the uterus. And I got a slide for that. So let me bring it up. He explained this is an expert on canine reproductive research for many years. Okay, Dr. Hutchinson. His veterinary clinic is here in Ohio, Northview Animal Clinic. If you get a chance to go there, take time to speak to the man, because he's out here doing his words. It costs money to talk to the man. He's doing reproductive seminars. He's been doing it for many years. I've had the opportunity to speak to him. So I cite him as a source because I've talked to him personally. And here is some of his testimony or transcript, excerpt from a transcript from an online seminar with him that he did for a Doberman club. And in it, he states how whether about the deterioration of the uterus lining. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So whether or not the dog does not get pregnant, we don't have implantation, or the placenta, which actually goes into the lining of the uterus, can't grow or be maintained, the puppies are reabsorbed. It will develop as the night goes on how to detect some of these problems. When a bitch ovulates, whether we breed her or don't breed her, or pretend she's not in season, let's say we just ignore and miss the season because we doing people things and not being on top of our dog business, we don't breed her, the progesterone hammers the uterine lining. What is this uterine lining? This is what the female human shed. This is what the cow sheds after the egg is not fertilized. In the dog, it doesn't work that way. The eggs go into the uterine lining, and whether they grow or not, the puppies are absorbed, or the eggs are reabsorbed, and this lining continues to stay there. In the cow, for example, the uterus does not get communication from the fertilized egg by day 16. It starts all over again. In the bitch, you don't have that luxury. It takes for 6 months again for her to come back in heat. Even though the bitch's body produces the progesterone, it's inflammatory to the uterine lining. So after the heat cycle, the bitch's uterus is never as healthy as it was before the heat cycle. This is very important to understand. Every single heat cycle, the bitch's lining of the uterus deteriorates. So it's never as healthy as the first heat cycle. Okay, so this young bitch that we just bred, she's 14 months old. She's full of puppies. Now, we bred Optimus Prime 6 or 7 different females. This female, young, healthy womb, fertile. She was the only one that took so far out of 7. I don't know. I have to check and see. But so far, we got one confirmation that's due soon. But she's a younger bitch. She's under 2. Why do we choose to breed her? Because we want to maintain the health of the uterus. We're looking for the ideal puppies. We're trying to produce the strongest puppies, the most. So we're going to attempt to breed when the uterus is at its most fertile. It's very important that we do this, that we understand this. The further along that we get, because remember, we're talking about purebred dogs that already have complications with breeding. I don't care what breed that you have, you're going to have, because it's a purebred dog. It's just the nature of the purebred dog breeding business. We're not going to get into that right now, but we're going to continue to get into this. So we want to maintain the fertility of our bitches. We want to make sure that we getting them pregnant. We want to make sure that we maintaining our litters. We want to make sure that we having these generations, because we only have so many opportunities in the life cycle of a bitch to breed the bitch. Okay, so that's keep in mind, boy buddies. We only got so many times that we're gonna be able to get litters off this bitch. It's not like a male when we can shoot 6-7 shots in one season. With the bitch, you got one season, you got 2 seasons a year, you got 4 or 5 years of optimal times to breed the bitch. So you got 8 potential seasons. You want to make sure you getting this right. You want to make sure that you planning, that you understanding what you got going on, who you plan to breed, what are your potential observations that you seeing with your bitch based off the bloodline. How does she pair up? What does she produce? What is she looking like based off of her ancestors and so on and so forth? What is she likely to produce based off of what you're seeing right before your very eyes? So you're looking at all of that, and then you got an idea of the dog that you plan to recreate. So here we go again. Let me get back up. Before we get too far off into that, let me get it back on track. Let me get back off into this uterus. So what happens is, let me show you what the healthy pregnancy conception looks like. So this is an image at 30 days of gestation with 10 puppies inside, 10 embryos. Okay. Now, like I said, remember in the other slide that think of the horns as a garden, right? And it's a bed, a flower bed where the seeds are planted. These seeds have been fertilized. So this is the healthy uterus. This is what it's supposed to look like naturally. You see the dogs, the puppies is in there. This is what we want. We breeders. We're trying to get puppies. We primary concern when we talking about health of our bitches is we looking at the health of the uterus. We trying to breed dogs, right? So we want to make sure that our bitch's uterus is healthy. That's the main thing. One of the number one things that you got to consider when you're talking about breeding dogs. Bitch got to have a healthy uterus. So we want to make sure how we're going to do that. This is how we want to get her pregnant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. So what happens now, let's get into the risk. Why this is important to understand. What happens when the dog doesn't get pregnant, when you don't breed the dog, because the body is going to assume that it's pregnant every single time regardless. So let's just say when you don't breed your dog, okay, because the body is going to assume that it's pregnant regardless. That's a fact. That's something that's research. That's not my information. You can look it up for yourself. It's on this man's website. Okay, so let's get back to the Dr. Hutchinson. He's not the only one. He's just one of the first ones, okay, to come out with these findings. And then other people was like, oh no, you got to give your bitch time to rest. People think about it like a woman, right? But it's not the equivalent of a woman having babies every 9 months. If a dog has puppies every 6 months, it's more like a woman having a baby every 2 years. It's the natural progression. So let's keep going. What are the risks? Why is this important? Because remember, long term, we are considering, we're putting the dog best interest first. And I done lost one of my best dogs, the first dog, my beginning dog, because of this. So if you're not gonna breed your dog, or you done breeding your dog, you want to spade your bitch, get that uterus out of there. If you don't get the uterus out of there, what happens is these linings continue to build up, and what you got is an infertile garden with all of these cysts and embryos that's being reabsorbed into the uterus, the unfertilized eggs, this lining. You want to get it out of there. Let me show you what is the risk, because every time a female comes in heat, remember, she becomes receptive, right? So part of her immune system breaks down a little bit because she's becoming receptive Remember, she's looking for semen. Now, because it's receptive, it's open for fecal matter, E. coli, bacteria, fungus. Every time you have this lining adding up, this unfertilized garden lining up, couple that with the fact that you have the susceptible, you have the dog is being receptive, and the immune system slightly goes down a little bit because it's, remember, we don't want to kill the semen when it's coming in. So we're going to be receptive. We're going to basically back up our immune system a little bit. And then we're going to come down with the, we're going to breathe it. We're going to, so we, because the immune system comes down, we're receptive to the semen. But if, remember, we don't put the semen there, what happens is we keep building up this unfertilized garden. And then we got the potential for E. coli and bacteria. What happens is as the dog ages, you become susceptible to what's known as pyometra. So that is the dangers. And then this is was now we being a breeder, you know, we talked about number one, every single time the dog is going to become pregnant. That's where the false pregnancy comes in. So you're going to see the dog's boobs start to swell up every single time. I mean, you're going to be like, what? I see people send me the pictures of their dogs all the time. And you're going to see swollen mammary glands, possible lactation, mothering, behavior. Then I'm talking about taking toys. I hear it all. She's sleeping the whole lot. Her behavior has changed. All of this. She's not in the mood. This is the same thing that she would be experiencing with a pregnancy, and it looks like a pregnancy, showing all the physical signs and behavioral signs of a pregnancy, but no pregnancy occurs, right? And this happens regardless whether the dog is heated, has mated or not. So we're gonna keep on pressing. Let's keep on moving. This is why we encourage back-to-back breedings. Well, let's get this one. We'll get back to that. What is pyometra? Now, this is the danger. This is the thing that could cost you $4,000 or $5,000 in the middle of the night. This is why we're talking to you about this right now. This is something that is a real reality, whether you are a dog breeder, whether you a seasoned pro, whether you a beginner, whether you just a pet owner. Because if you got a female dog that is not spayed, whether you breeding it or not, if we just went over the false pregnancy, your dog becomes susceptible to pyometra. Pyometra is a bacterial infection of the uterus. It looks like exactly what it is. Pyo is pus, metra is the uterus. The cervix, now you got two different types. One is the open, the next one is the closed. And what happens is when the open one is not as bad, it's not as life-threatening, it's not as a risk, high as a risk, because it can be treated. You can still breed your dog. Your dog, you know you got to get it done soon. You're going to be able to get antibiotics. You're going to see pools of pus on your floor or wherever you keep your dog. This is something that you have to be observative of when you're a dog breeder, when you're involved with dogs. You got to be mindful of these type of things because this is a risk. Now, when you have it open, you start seeing, if you see open, you might assume, oh, no, maybe she just, you don't know, right? You still need to get the dog to the vet and get some treatment. You're looking for some antibiotics, amoxicillin, cephalexin, 9 times out of 10. That's all you need. Say that again because the vet will try to run it, go crazy with the x-rays. They always want to get you in there for the x-rays. And you got to be mindful of that. When you go into the vet, you got services, you're in charge. Be mindful of what the services rendered. Don't let them just take your dog and start throwing all kind of stuff. Blood test is not necessary. All of that, a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Fluids and all that. Look, give me some antibiotics. Let me get on my way. Right? Don't let the vet try to take you up top, because they'll do that. You gotta be you gotta talk to them with some authority, like you know what's going on. If not, you can be potentially taken advantage of. And I'm not saying that everybody gonna do that, but it's a real reality. It's a real possibility. So let me help you out, more buddies. Remember, there is another generation of Borbal breeders coming up that may not know everything that you know. So just be cool about it right now. Closed pyometra is what happens when the cervix is closed. Now, this is the dangerous one. This is the one that could cost you your dog at the end of the day. Let me show you what that looks like. Closed pyometra. This is the worst. This is what happens because the breeding ground becomes. Basically, let me give you a better slide. This is the closed pyometra. So this is an infected wound. What happens is, because the wound is full of pus, your dog's belly is going to swell up. And it looks like the dog is pregnant. So you're like, I think she's pregnant. Then your dog gets sick. Now, this is what it looks like. Remember, I showed you the other uterus that was healthy wound, had 10 puppies. This is what a wound looks like when you go to get a C-section. This is my dude's dog, Royal. One of the dogs we just kept missing, wasn't on paying attention to something in Pittsburgh with bro, but we did end up getting something super special. The one time we were able to breed her, but this was a result of missing heats. What happens is it fills with uterus. This is what it actually looks like. This is the result of the emergency C-section, where he took the dog in to save the dog's life because she got very sick, wasn't eating, vomiting, throwing up, fever, very sick, sick in the eyes. And when you a dog lover, when you really see about your dogs, when you really care about your dogs, you're willing to go the extra mile, and it's gonna cost you. So this is why I advise, remember, you gotta count to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 divided by 2. That's 4. Your bitch gonna start at about 1 year old, so you got to about 5 to 6 years old. When your bitch start getting at 5 and 6 years old, and you haven't bred, and you count the heats, how many times did you miss? If you fell in it, you got a bad report card. If you got a low percentage, out of the 8, you missed 6. That's 25%. You failed. You need to get your bitch paid. That's how that go. Okay, more buddies. That's how that go. You miss 4 out of 8 litters. It's time to get the bitch paid. Okay, you missed it. You missed your window of opportunity. And this is why it's important to keep in mind that you got to have a plan from the very beginning. You want to plan it out. You want to be very observant in identifying the traits and characteristics that you see valuable in your dog, because that's what matters. What you see valuable and you are trying to reproduce, not the standard, because the standard fluctuates. We're going to get into that. Remember, boy, buddies, we got a whole bunch of stuff. Remember, frustrated with the microphone, going through a whole bunch of stuff. We got our product is finally here, boy, buddies. TripeForSale.com is the website, because we doing this with tripe as our base ingredient. That's what has carried us for 15 years. And we're going to tell you all about, we're going to show you how we mix it up and put it together. And this formula that we got, you see the work that is done with the dogs over the years. They stay looking magnificent. And this is one of our secrets to success. We're going to open up the doors a whole lot in 2025. We're going to do everything that we said that we came to do in 20, that we came up short. We did a lot of, we had some great successes. And listen, we're buddies, we aim high. We aim for the stars. And then we might just come up with the world. Or it goes something like that. But we shooting high. We aiming high. We trying to get the most bang for our buck out of every our efforts. So because of that, it's here. It took a long time, but we made it happen. Finally, TripeForSale.com. Few more steps, but 2025 is up. We also going super hard with the Bourbon Club. And listen, board buddies, I want to say this too. You know, we want to make sure that it's understood that we're not against nobody. We're just doing our thing the best that we can, right? And it's nothing wrong. You do your thing, we're gonna do ours, and let's stay fully focused. So we talked about this. Let me get back to the we're gonna close it out just so you understand. You want to breed often and then spay. We talked about the breeding, regularly veterinary checkups. You got to have a solid breeding plan. The female is the cornerstone of your dog breeding program. Don't make no mistake about it. If you're looking for a male, breed you a male. Go get you a male that you like out of somewhere else. Find you something that you like somewhere else. Breed to that male and get you a whole litter of puppies. And then you find that one, because if you go and try to buy one puppy, it's highly unlikely that you're going to get the exact dog that you're looking for. You go ahead and breed you a dog, and now you can find the dog exactly that you're looking for. You got 4, 5, 6 males to choose from, right? So this is why you want to make sure that you get this right. I'm going to give you some tools and news that you can use to better understand, to get ahead. Knowledge is power. And that's what we aim to do, empower you, arm you with information. We're going to close this out, board buddies. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. If you was live, thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Boss man, you know how we do it. You know this episode is for you too. We're going to get right back on track, keep going what we've been doing, breeding the best dogs that we possibly can, seeking out the best Bourbon with the best history of all dogs that was ever created. The most complete athlete. That's what the Bourbon supposed to be. Number one, from head to toe, the most complete dog. Everything that you love about a dog to the max. That's what the Bourbon is. Can't no other dog compete when it comes to modern civilized society. We talk about civilized society. It's the best dog that you could possibly have. Cold chilling right here under my feet. Board buddies, we'll catch up with y'all real soon. Until the next time, stay busy, get busy. Don't let nothing stop you from doing what you got to do. I'm going to catch up with y'all real soon. Real soon. Stay tuned. And as always, don't take nothing for granted.
No rush, go on, move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and gloves. Now you got a deal run up. No rush, go on, move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love.